Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today I want to discuss with you what I believe is each role and class's top 3 skills. Have you ever wondered which skill is a must-have for my build or rotation? Maybe you have seen someone else's build and asked why one skill is used all the time versus another skill. Well, I'd like to answer some of those questions today as we go through each class's top 3 skills and each roles within those classes' top 3 skills. And that means we're going to go through the tank, the healer, stamina DPS, and Magicka DPS. Real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to all the patrons. Thank you so much for the support. If you'd like to become a patron, you can check out the link below in the description, and you get your name here on the screen and many other perks. There's also going to be a revamp. I'm going to be adding new perks. I'm going to be adding new things to lower tiers and to higher tiers. It's going to be fantastic, but check that out in the description. And if you ever want to watch me play live, I stream on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. We have a very helpful Discord, and you can check out our website at brahwegotthis.com. All the details of all that are in the description. As a quick disclaimer, I want to mention that the skills that I go through may be skills that you don't agree with. This list comes down to personal preference in some cases. However, some skills are just so crucial and are leaps and bounds better on paper than so many other ones. So how I'm going to do this now is I'm going to go through the overarching roles top 3 skills. So this is going to exclude the class skills. So I'm going to go through tank, healer, Magicka DPS, and stamina DPS. After that, we're going to go through each class's top 3 skills. The reason I split the video up like that is because there are plenty of skills outside of the class lines that should be used, and those skills are skills that every single class can use no matter what. We're going to kick it off with Magicka DPS. The 3 best skills, excluding class skills, are Force Pulse, Unstable Wall of Elements, and Elemental Drain. Force Pulse is the most ridiculous Magicka skill in my opinion. It is an insane AoE spammable, it procs so many different sets, and it just dishes out so much damage. Unstable Wall of Elements is in almost every build, and the damage over time of this ability is just ridiculous. Plus you have the added passive effects based on which staff you use. Elemental Drain is just a powerhouse. This gives minor Magicka steal to help with sustain and applies major breach to enemies. For stamina DPS, I would say Endless Hail, Stampede, and Barb Trap are some of the best 3 skills. Endless Hail is in the bow line, and this is a dot that just does a lot of damage. It is a staple for any stamina build. Stampede may surprise you, but this was buffed recently, and it is ridiculous. I have this on my Templar 2-handed AoE taunt tank. I know that's a lot of words, but this reaches so far away, it always crits, and it does a lot of initial damage and leaves a dot behind. Barb Trap has always been a powerhouse, and you could even put this in Magicka, but this skill with its minor force is great. Now you could say that this could be switched with Whirlwind, the dual wield ability, because there are other ways to get minor force, but I like the trap. Now for healer, I would say Combat Prayer, Radiating Regeneration, and Energy Orb. Combat Prayer is a must-have as a healer. If you have no other skills, this is the one that you want. It is insane. It does an insane burst heal. It gives minor Berserk, which increases damage done, and minor Resolve, which buffs your teammates as well. Radiating Regeneration is a surprise to some of you, but this is my Dark Horse healer skill. The reason being is, let's be honest, most DPSs don't stack and stay together. This skill is perfect for that. This range is amazing, and it can hit anyone even if they are spread out. This is a massive heal over time as well, and the animation is honestly just awesome. Then Energy Orb. This did get nerfed, but the skill is a must-have for healer. It's a heal over time, and it's a crucial skill due to its synergy restoring either Magicka or stamina to players. For tanks, the top 3 skills for me are Pierce Armor, Silver Leash, and Inner Fire. Pierce Armor is your hard taunt and applies minor and major breach. This is a must-have skill for tanks. Silver Leash may surprise you, but this is a pull ability in the Fighters Guild. I love pull abilities. This is a perfect skill for any tank that does not have a native pull. And the last one is Inner Rage. This is a ranged taunt, and this is just so handy for so many fights as a tank. It's time now for the class-specific skills. Let's start with the Dragonite. For Magicka DPS, within the class skill lines, I believe Engulfing Flames, Flames of Oblivion, and Molten Whip are the 3 best skills. Engulfing Flames is because this skill sets up so much of your potential damage and basically is a foundation of the class. This is a dot, but it also increases all flame damage attacks up to 10% more damage. So this is a dot you always want to have on your enemy because the DK specializes in flame damage. For Flames of Oblivion, having this just slotted will give you Major Prophecy and Savagery, which increases weapon critical and spell critical. This also does damage as well. Molten Whip is amazing because it does insane flame damage. While slotted as well, it also has an ability whenever you activate another Ardent Flame ability, you get a stack of Seething Fury, which increases the damage of your next Molten Whip by 33%, and weapon and spell damage by 75 for 5 seconds. This is great for dealing out extra damage. For stamina DPS, I would say Noxious Breath, the other morph of Engulfing Flames, Venomous Claw, and Flames of Oblivion. Stam DK specializes in poison a lot of the time, and this just makes everything X amount better in regards to Noxious Breath. For Venomous Claw, this is a lethal damage over time that pairs nicely with the poison passives that you have as a DK. And for Flames of Oblivion, again, you are just looking for that slottable Major Savagery. For healer, I would say Cauterize, Cinder Storm, and Igneous Shield are your top 3 skills. Cauterize is going to give your DK Major Prophecy, increasing spell critical ratings and also heal teammates. Cinder Storm is a nice AoE heal, and Igneous Shield not only gives you and your teammates a shield, it gives you Major Mending, which increases your healing done. DK healers aren't very popular, but I love using mine. For DK tanks, I would say this is the hardest to choose because there are just so many good skills. But if I had to pick 3, it would be Choking Talons, Volatile Armor, and Unrelenting Grip. Choking Talons not only roots your enemies, it inflicts Minor Maim, which reduces the damage done they can do. So this is a massive debuff for enemies. It also protects your team tremendously. Plus, the root allows your team to damage them easier. Volatile Armor gives you Major Resolve, which is a tank's best friend, and Unrelenting Grip, in my opinion, is the best pull in the game. If you want a non-boss monster around you, just use the skill to pull them in. Now let's move to the Warden class. For Magicka DPS, you have a lot of great skills, but the 3 best ones I want to highlight are Blue Betty, Screaming Cliff Racer, and Shocks. Blue Betty is going to give you Major Brutality and Sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20%. It's also going to restore Magicka over time and remove negative effects from you. Screaming Cliff Racer does a ton of damage, especially if you are farther away. And Shocks does some nice damage, but applies Major Breach, which reduces the enemy's physical and spell resistances. For Stamina DPS, again, the top 3 skills are Bull Netch, Growing Swarm, and Cutting Dive. Bull Netch is again the opposite of Blue Betty. It's just a fantastic stamina regen skill, plus it buffs you. Growing Swarm does insane bleed damage, inflicts minor vulnerability, which increases the damage taken, and enemies around the carrier take bleed damage. Cutting Dive again does massive amounts of bleed damage and also sets enemies off balance, which then does more bleed damage. For healers, I would say Blue Betty, Enchanted Growth, and Budding Seeds. Blue Betty is amazing again for the Magicka regen, the Major Sorcery, and the negative effects removal. Enchanted Growth is nice burst heal and gives your allies minor intellect and endurance, increasing their Magicka and stamina recovery by 15% for 20 seconds, which is insane for a healer. Budding Seeds is a great heal over time, and the synergy is also amazing because it adds even more healing to the initial heal, which is nice for burst healing. But that also depends on your teammates activating it. For tanks, I would say Ice Fortress, Polar Wind, and Blue Betty or Bull Netch. Ice Fortress is an all-star and gives Major Resolve and Minor Protection, which Minor Protection reduces your damage taken. Polar Wind is a massive heal for you and your allies. And the Bettys were chosen because they are just great. The removal of negative effects restore resources, and you need that for tanks so much. They are crucial. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Alcast, ESOhub.com. All these screenshots being used are from that website, so that will be linked below in the description. Okay, now we'll move on to the Nightblade class. For Magicka DPS, the 3 skills are Merciless Resolve, Impale, and Siphoning Attacks. Merciless Resolve is insane because it can increase your crit damage and healing up to 10% and stay there for 40 seconds. It is an MVP skill. Impale is one of the best executes in the game and does so much damage during that phase, plus it's a ranged attack. Siphoning Attacks gives you resources back and heals you as well. Siphoning Attacks is basically everything you need for sustaining as a DPS. For Stamina DPS, it's literally the exact mirror of those skills: Relentless Focus, Killer's Blade, and Leeching Strikes. These 3 skills do the exact same thing pretty much as the Magicka variants, but they are for stamina instead. Also, Relentless Focus lasts for a minute instead of like 40 something seconds. And I know you have Sap Essence and Twisting Path for Magicka Nightblade. Honestly, almost all of its skills are just insane, so it was really hard to pick that. For For Nightblade Healer, the skills are Sap Essence, Refreshing Path, and Funnel Health. Sap Essence is insane because it does damage and heals, but it also gives you Major Brutality and Sorcery, which increases weapon and spell damage. Refreshing Path speeds you and your team up, but lays down a great heal. Funnel Health is a great heal over time. For tanks, Mirage, Dark Cloak, and Leeching or Siphoning Attacks are your top 3 skills in my opinion. Mirage is amazing. It gives Major Evasion and Minor Resolve. Major Evasion gives you reduced damage by area attacks by 20% and boosts your physical and spell resistance. Dark Cloak is a massive self-heal on a tank, and Siphoning and Leeching attacks are going to give you resources back and heal you. You need these as a tank. It is your preference which one to use though. Furthermore, let's move on to Sorcerer. For Magicka DPS, Crit Surge, Boundless Storms, and Lightning Flood are the top 3 skills. Yes, I didn't choose the pets because, again, I don't use a lot of the pets. They are good, but these 3 skills are amazing. Crit Surge is amazing. It gives weapon and spell damage, and it heals you every time you crit. For Boundless Storms, this does shock damage, it gives Major Resolve and Major Expedition, is a jam-packed skill. Lightning Flood is bonkers of an AoE skill. I love it, and the synergy for your teammates does 2249 shock damage. For Stamina DPS, the skills are Crit Surge, Hurricane, and Bound Armaments. Same thing with Crit Surge, it's fantastic. It boosts weapon damage and heals you every time you crit. Hurricane gives you a speed boost and does AoE damage and gives Major Resolve. Bound Armaments I love for the slottable effect. It gives 8% max stamina increase and gives 10% bonus damage to light attacks. This is crazy for Stamina DPS. For Healer, I haven't played much of Healer at all except trying some things out on the PTS, but for Healer, it's pretty straightforward. Power Surge, Twilight Matriarch, and Empowered Ward. These 3 skills are some of the best healer skills for Sorcerer. Like I said, I have barely played Healing Sorc, but Power Surge does the same thing as Crit Surge, but heals you and allies every time you critically heal. Twilight Matriarch heals you and your allies, and Empowered Ward gives a damage shield to you and your pets, and you get Minor Intellect as well as your allies, which increases their Magicka recovery in yours as well by 15% for 10 seconds. For tank, again, I haven't played this much except a little bit on the PTS, but I would say either Hurricane or Boundless Storms, Hardened Ward, and Unstable Clanifer. Hurricane or Boundless Storms gives you Major Resolve, which is one of the best things you can have as a tank. Hardened Ward gives you and your pets a massive shield capped at your max health, so that plays into tanking really well and the high health. And Unstable Clanifer is a great heal. On to Templar now, the class of light and more light. For Magicka DPS, Blazing Spear, Puncturing Sweeps, and Radiant Oppression. Blazing Spear has one of the coolest animations in the game. It does a ton of damage. It has an insane synergy that helps your teammates out a lot, so always use this skill. Puncturing Sweeps, I know a lot of people in high-end builds don't use this, but for me this is one of my top skills for Magicka DPS for Templar. It heals you and does insane damage. Like, you can clear a lot of content with just this skill. Radiant Oppression is one of the dumbest skills in the game. It does up to 480% more damage to enemies below 50% health, and it deals 20% more damage in proportion to your current Magicka. It is an insane execute. Stamina DPS, your top 3 skills are Biting Jabs, Power of the Light, and Blazing Spear. Biting Jabs works well with so many different things, but again, this is going to grant you Major Savagery, increasing your weapon critical by 2629, and it just wrecks. It just absolutely wrecks. Power of the Light is insane because as you use this deals more physical damage, and it copies all the enemy's damage taken from you for 6 seconds and releases 20% of it as additional physical damage. So it is essentially getting stronger as it gets closer to the enemy. Also, this applies Minor Breach as well. Blazing Spear, again, is just an insane AoE. It gives an amazing synergy that restores resources for your teammates. For healers, 3 skills are Luminous Shards, Extended Ritual, and Breath of Life. Luminous Shards is like Blazing Spear, but instead it grants Stamina Magicka for the synergy, which is great for healers' toolkits. Extended Ritual is a cleanse that allows you to remove harmful effects from yourself immediately and heal you and your allies for health over time. It's a long heal over time too, and the Purify synergy will cleanse all harmful effects from your allies and heal them for more health. This skill is useful in a lot of fights in ESO where you need to cleanse something off of somebody so they don't die or whatever. Breath of Life is just a solid heal for you and your allies. For tank, the 3 skills are Restoring or Channeled Focus, Blazing Shield, and Repentance. Channeled or Restoring Focus gives you Major Resolve, and it can give you Magicka or Stamina for standing in the circle depending on which one you choose. I think this is a preference for resources that you need, so choose which one is better for you. Repentance is an insane resource regain and a nice heal. If you have a bunch of corpses on the ground, this will always refill your stamina and allow you to never run out for fights in fights for tank. While slotted, you also gain Minor Fortitude, Minor Intellect, and Minor Endurance, increasing your health, stamina, and magic recovery by 15%, which is nuts. And lastly, Blazing Shield is a massive shield for Templar that increases depending on the enemies around it, and it does damage after it ends. I love this for my tank. Lastly, Necromancer, the class of the dead. For Magicka DPS, I would say Avid Boneyard, Skeletal Arcanist, and Necrotic Potency. Avid Boneyard is absolute massive AoE damage, and you can activate your own synergy, dealing even more damage. Next skill, Skeletal Arcanist, was hard to pick over Stalking Blast Bones, but I just picked this one because of the ease of use. This does AoE shock damage, which plays into the bonus AoE damage you get as a Necromancer. Then Necrotic Potency. This is one of my favorite Necromancer skills. A lot of people may disagree with me, but this heals you and regens your ultimate based on the amount of corpses you consume. I love it. For Stamina DPS, Blighted Blast Bones, Skeletal Archer, and Avid Boneyard are my top 3 skills. Blighted Blast Bones is a massive AoE and applies Major Defile. Skeletal Archer is nice because each subsequent attack will do 5% more damage. And I put Avid Boneyard on this again because even though it's Magicka, it's just so good. For healers, Necrotic Potency, Unnerving Boneyard, and Intensive Mender. Necrotic Potency again just for the ulti regen and healing. Unnerving Boneyard doesn't let you activate your synergy, but allows you to apply Major Breach, which reduces their physical and spell resistance. Intensive Mender is great because it heals you and your allies, and it creates a consistent corpse for your other skills. For tank, I would say Agony Totem, Beckoning Armor, and Unnerving Boneyard. Agony Totem is a fear which is amazing, but it also gives you and your allies minor protection, reducing the damage they take. They can then activate the synergy and apply Minor Vulnerability to enemies, increasing their damage taken by 5%. Beckoning Armor gives you Major Resolve, which again is a tank's best friend, but not only that, anytime an enemy strikes you with a ranged attack, you will pull someone to you every 3 seconds, whoever the ranged attack was from. It also creates a corpse. Again, Unnerving Boneyard is just a great AoE and applies Major Breach, which is nice for tanks. In conclusion, this is just my list of the 3 best skills for each class and each role. I recommend you go out and try these for yourself and find out what you find to be the best skills. Some of these will always perform better than others, but there is some preference involved, like I said. It also depends on your playstyle in this game. I will say that these don't always stay like this because of skill and passive changes in patches. But if you found this helpful at all, make sure to leave a comment below, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all the content in the channel. It really helps me out. And make sure to leave a comment on what you think about these skills that I put in this video. I'd like to hear your feedback on that. But if you ever want to come and watch me play live, again, I stream on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. You can also check out our Discord and our website at brahwegotthis.com. All those links are below in the description. But until next time, you all, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.